Hi, Elvin. Everyone who is listening, I've got Elvin Berndt on our wireless here to chat with us today about their experience with COVID, entering into a post-COVID world and what that means for business, how they've handled everything to date. So, Elvin, thanks again for joining us. I'm really excited to kind of dig into what you guys have been doing over the last couple of months. It's a bit different than what I've experienced with some of our other dealers. So excited for you to have a platform to share and you know, what was driving your decision making. So, I mean, first things first for everyone listening, back when we kind of hit the peak of COVID, Elvin and his R Wireless team decided to shut down all of their tri-state area stores. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about that, how many stores that was, you know, what the really driving factor was instead of, you know, as an essential retail business, you know, you had the option to stay open, but you decided to take a different route.
Yeah, no. So like I said, we have 36 stores throughout Pennsylvania, New Jersey, upstate New York, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. And our driving decision to close the stores was really, it came down to, do we feel we could keep our employees, customers, and community safe? And there was just so much going on and so much, you know, I think just a lack of information on the early onset that we just felt that, okay, if, you know, would I feel comfortable sending my own child to work in one of our stores today? And the answer was no. And our leadership team across the board had the same answer. So we felt like, let's shut the stores. Let's take some time to give our employees to regroup, make sure that we don't have anyone that is potentially symptomatic, and just take our time with this and collect that information. So we made the difficult decision on March 21st to shut all of our stores. And but again, it became an easier decision once the guiding force was employee safety, customer safety, community safety, versus trying to look at it from a business perspective, because the reality of it is it's painful on the business side. So, but we're glad we did it, and the feedback from employees is positive. So,
right. So, were most of your employees? I mean, obviously, it was kind of you know, an unprecedented time for a lot of folks. Were people glad that you made that decision, or were they, you know, maybe were they a little concerned about what was going to happen to them and how unemployment benefits kind of came into play during that period? How did that sort of play out from your frontline team?
Well, one of the things we did is tried to prepare in advance, okay, knowing that if we had to make that decision, we wanted to make sure that we had information for our employees so they didn't have to go navigate unemployment and try to figure out how to do this on their own. So our HR person was phenomenal. She, we told her what we wanted to put together, and she literally pulled together resources from every state we do business in. So when we did make the decision that we were able to hand every employee a package saying, hey, this is what you need to do. This is, to file for benefits. This is what you're eligible for. So we tried to give them as much information as we could, because it was a difficult time, an uncertain time for everybody. So it's not an easy decision to make. So you wanted to make sure that if you're going to make that decision, that you hopefully are at least doing everything you can to give your employees what they need to navigate, again, a difficult time. So
right.
A lot of preparation went into getting ready to even make the decision.
Yeah, that's awesome that you guys had resources and access to, all-star HR person who could, make that transition easy as possible for everyone. So that's great to hear. And so, I mean, during that period while the doors were shut, what were you guys doing as a leadership team to track the situation, to make the right decision, figure out when it was going to be best for you and your workers and your employees to open back up?
Well, again, try to do a lot of homework to figure out exactly what it was we were dealing with. And obviously there's just so much information in every direction that I'm not sure that there's a right answer to the question, but at least giving, ourselves enough information so that when we did make a decision, regardless of what that decision was, we felt it was the right decision for our business and for our employees. And again, using that common guidepost of, employee safety, customer safety, community safety. And then also I spent, my workday changed dramatically where, I was waking up and calling employees just to find out, hey, how are you doing? How's your family doing? Is there anything you need? And getting their feedback about how they felt about what was going on, and how they felt about us closing stores. And so the good news was that they were very, very positive about the fact that we closed the stores. While believe me, they'd all rather be working, they were very happy that we made priority. Our first priority was the employee. So, and it was nice to kind of get that feedback from them. But a lot of the things we did as far as planning our reopening came from that conversation with our employees, is to sit there and say, wait, this is, whether it's real or not real, this is what their concern is. So how do we address that? And how do we bring them back to an environment where they feel comfortable coming back to work? Because everyone processes a little bit differently. So you have people who are just really ready to come back to work right away. And you had some people that quite frankly didn't know if they'd ever come back. So I said, I can't thank our employees enough for the invaluable feedback they gave us. That allowed us to plan our strategy.
That's great. And so you guys did like a soft reopen, basically. I believe, was it beginning of March? Pardon me, May?
No, we did a phased approach, and what we looked at is we looked at geographies where we felt more comfortable opening up. There were some places we just didn't feel comfortable opening at all.
Yeah.
But, spent a lot of time looking at CDC website and looking county by county to see what was going on. So we opened up our first 16 stores on April 16th. We recalled employees. Again, it was a limited schedule, limited customer transaction. We limited the number of people allowed in our stores. We had taken the time between March 21st and April 16th to make sure we had masks, gloves, all the sanitation products you needed to keep the store clean. We came up with a floor plan for every store that would allow customers to not navigate the store freely. We had strategy for in-store pickup, transaction types, what we needed our employees to do to ensure that they were safe, their customers were safe. And then we would have a call the day before we'd open the store where the employees walk them through that, and then field any other questions, and then prep the store for opening to the public the next day. So phase one was April 16th. We opened 7 additional stores on May 4th. And on May 18th, we expanded hours on some of the phase 1 stores back to pre-lockdown hours. And then again, opened up some additional stores. We opened up a few more this weekend and expanded some more hours. So we hope to have, the original, we've got 33 of the original 36 reopened. The balance of those in 2 additional new stores that were ready to go, but we had to wait for some permits and things from local townships that went on hold. We expect all that to be opened up by mid to late June. Oh,
awesome. Is there any trepidation around opening new locations during this time, or it's
I don't know if it was trepidation. I think there's, somewhere deep inside there's trepidation for opening any store, because you're kind of walking into the fear of the unknown. So I'm not sure that new versus existing really played any part of the decision. But like I said, our employees have been fantastic. I can't applaud their efforts enough. They're walking back into an environment. Again, there's just so much unknown. And I think that as they got back and they saw that we were able to actually control that environment in the store more so than what they could control outside the store. So when they had to go to the grocery store, when they had to go to some of the other places, I think we felt that our store was one of the safer places to be during the course of the day. So like I said, it was, we've had no, incidents with our employees testing positive for COVID in our stores. So we're super psyched about that.
That's awesome.
A healthy workforce, and can't wait to get them all back.
And so, like a company like Statflo, for example, we are all still working remotely here in Toronto. And so I can't even imagine going back to work on the front line when you kind of made that call and you started testing the waters with your employees, were most of them fairly excited to get back in the store and start selling and making some money again? Or, were there nerves or any instances where people were just, said they weren't comfortable with coming back? How did you run into any of those?
Yes to all of that. All of the above. So again, I think a big thing that helped us out along the way is staying in constant communication with our employees. So not waiting until we were going to recall them, but having constant dialogue. And we were putting out updates. We'd send out updates to their personal emails, and just to let them know what was going on, what some of the work was taking place in the background, what was some of the driving factors behind our decision to close, and what our strategy was to reopen. So I think by the time we got to actually recalling employees, we already knew in advance that, hey, these employees aren't comfortable. And in some cases, it would be an entire store potentially. So we said, let's push that store to the next phase. Like if they're not comfortable coming back, I don't want to just say, hey, you have to come back. Mm-hmm. And same thing with employees. Because we did a partial recall, if you had an employee that had extenuating circumstances that we were aware of, or they had something, because we had a very specific way we were recalling. We were recalling by job function and seniority. But we had exceptions to every one of those rules where it's like, wait, this person doesn't feel comfortable coming back. Let's go to the next person in line. And so we didn't really want to, kind of tell everybody, hey, you're coming back or else. So it was kind of a really strong collaboration between our single largest asset, which is our employees, and our leadership team.
Awesome. So you mentioned that, you guys were taking the, fairly stern precautions with, protective equipment and everything like that for your store reopening. What, business strategy, what else were you guys doing in this sort of new era? Any sort of new initiatives implemented, tools that you guys are using to conduct this business as close to normal as we're allowed at this point?
Yeah, I think that, we did some integration on the back end with Verizon to help set up for in-store pickup. So customers that, are shopping on Verizon.com and may want to pick up in store rather than wait, that they've got the option to come to our store. So we're able to get that with the collaboration of Verizon set up. We did some work with RQ4 and some of our social media sites to allow customers to schedule one-on-one consultations in our store. So if you didn't feel like going to a store and not knowing if there was going to be a crowd or not knowing what you were to expect as you were starting to make your way back out into the community, you could make an appointment. And so if you wanted to come in and say, I really want a one-on-one consultation, you could set that up and we'd accommodate that as well. So we're trying to, because we understand that, again, everyone's processing this differently. So some people absolutely need the full service and they want to come into the store and they need that help and assistance. So we're there to do that. Got other people that literally just want curbside pickup. Mm-hmm. They just give me the box and let me get on my way. So we've tried to do everything in between to make sure that, again, all of our customers are being accommodated on their terms.
Got it. Yeah, that's great to hear. And I guess my next question is around whether you think that some of these measures are going to stay in place. Like, is this for the short term, do you think? No,
I think a lot of the way we do business is going to be long term. And I think in some cases, I wish some of them weren't, but I think it's going to become a necessity. But I think, not only in our business, but I think just in general, I think people have started to learn a lot more about what you can do with technology and connectivity, just based on the number of people that were forced to work at home. The number of kids, like my daughter, she graduated from one college, remotely, virtually, and started grad school virtually. So you're seeing things that, we're having, families are having Zoom conference calls every weekend to stay in touch. But I think that people are learning a lot more about what's possible with connectivity. As far as the in-store pickup, the scheduling, things like that, I think that'll become a permanent part of our business. I think that some of the sanitation practices we put in place will stay in place. And I think that's a good thing. I think that, long term, even we get past this COVID-19 thing, just the fact that you've got a heightened sense of awareness around, especially like flu season. I mean, if it keeps our employees healthier and happier, that's a great thing. So I'd love to see that stuff stick around.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're speaking to a bit of a germaphobe, so I'm not angry about the the new precautions. I appreciate them.
No, and actually that was feedback from as we started to open up. You didn't know what to expect from the customer. Are they going to be, because we had at times where you had very few people staffed in the store by design, and limited hours and limited transactions. So all of a sudden, a bunch of people show up, and you say, hey, you can either set an appointment or would you like to come back? And they say, no, we'd much rather wait in the car than come into a crowded store. And then when they come in and they saw that the things we were doing between changing gloves between customers, sanitizing the store, limiting traffic in the store, they were really appreciative of it. Okay. And I think with one exception, we haven't had any issues whatsoever. Our customers have been phenomenal as far as understanding why we're doing it and understanding that, we're just trying to keep everyone healthy and happy and safe. So it's been a positive thing for our customers and a positive thing for our employees.
So earlier you mentioned connectivity and staying in touch with friends and family during this time. How are you guys staying in touch with your customers?
Actually, Statflo, thank you. No, and you mentioned that you guys were working remotely, and I know that you guys obviously had some of the similar challenges that every employer's had as far as staffing and what do you do with your employees when the bottom line is that there's not a week's worth of work to do. So, but I've got to give you guys your props. There wasn't one time that I called you that the phone wasn't picked up. There wasn't a time that I called Nick or anybody on the Statflo team where I didn't get resolution. And not only resolution, but a lot of times we're just reaching out saying, hey, what are other people doing? Okay, it's like I've got this idea. I don't know if it's good, bad, or indifferent. So just, hearing what some of the other folks were doing, it's a nice sanity check. And then most certainly, it was great to be able to start reaching back out to our customers because we were able to, not only as we got into a dialogue with them, some of them wanted to know, are you guys taking any precautions? So we were able to let them know what was going on. So again, it's been a really good experience for us.
Awesome. How did your frontline team feel about reaching out to folks? I've noticed just dealers across the states that, like, depending on the areas that you're in, some people are super gung ho. Other people are like, should I be reaching out to my customers right now? Is it appropriate? How did your team sort of combat some of those feelings?
No, they were all over it. And you, I don't know if you remember or not, but I had a kind of one opinion on the starter messages we should be using, and I felt that it was probably just the fact that I just you get sick of 24/7 COVID news,
Oh, yeah.
I thought, keeping that out of the starter message and just going back with a normal, hey, how you doing, would be a quicker way back to a normal environment for us. It took about a week for our employees to call me up and tell me, hey, can we put something back in that speaks to, hey, how are you and your family doing? Listen, so we went back to some of the starter messages that you had referred me to begin with. And again, I take no credit for that. That's 110% of our employee base giving me the feedback. And then you guys were able to turn it around really quickly. So they were super happy with it.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, just focusing on customer service and care, like we saw some really cool instances of, people are sitting at home during this time, they're on their phones all the time, and like they're much more willing to chat. So Statflo was a big proponent of, building those customer relationships and nurturing that life cycle while they're a customer of yours. So we saw some really just almost heartwarming conversations from retail frontline reps and their customers. So I'm glad to hear that, your team is working that to their advantage as well.
No, and obviously with the stores closed, we had no one at a certain point, we had no employees to respond to Statflo.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you guys, stepping in and saying, hey, I'll tell you what, we get it. You don't have any employees right now. I'll tell you what, if anything comes in, if it comes across the bow, we'll answer it. So you guys were kind enough to field the generic questions and forward me the ones that required a little bit more explanation. So even while we were closed, we were able to stay in contact with our customers through Statflo. So again, it was a helpful tool. I think communications to our employees and to our base were probably two of the most critical things that we did throughout this whole process to make it go as smooth as possibly go, I guess.
So, I mean, maybe this is, a good time for a retrospective on all of this. And, now, I mean, who knows whether this is all said and done. But, over the last 2-3 months, how, would you have done everything the same? Anything you maybe would have changed about the way you handled the situation?
It's tough because this is one of those things that it's not anything you learn in a business class or you learn throughout your career. I don't remember Pandemic 101. So, it was one of those things, I think, and again, I know a lot of people did a lot of different things, and I don't think there's a right answer to how you handle this, So I can't say what we did was the most right thing. It was the most right thing for us. I think it was the most right thing for our employees. So, I'm not sure what I would have done. I think if anything else, I probably, as I got further and further down the communication path, I think early on, I probably would have started a more robust, fun, interactive type of, voluntary interactive with our employees that were out to say, hey, every, Saturday or Sunday, whatever day of the week, let's, get everybody or whoever it just feels like dialing, let's get a Zoom conference going. And let's just, not only, because I was talking to them, but it would be nice to, I'm used to seeing the faces. So I missed a lot of them. So I think keeping that visual would have probably been the only thing I would have done differently.
Okay, interesting. We, the team here at Statflo, that's what I'll give us props for is our connectivity during this whole time. It was really awesome. Morning stand-ups all the time. However, we've, experienced some of that Zoom burnout. So we've kind of moved away for like 3 months straight. It was, constantly seeing my coworkers. I love being in the office with everyone. But now I guess, trying to adapt a little bit more to remote work, but just staying in contact, whether it's face-to-face, voice-to-voice, super important. So I agree with you there. And so I like the way you guys handled this whole situation just from a very high level. Any advice you might have to any of, other dealers, whether it's in your own Verizon space or just, in general?
I don't know if I'm in a position to give advice, because again, this is not a typical thing. I would just, and I think most agents already know this, so there's nothing I'm going to tell anybody that I think that they don't already know. But, we view our single largest asset as our employees. And when we got down to making our decision, it became really easy because thinking about trying to rebuild our business without the people we've got, to me, is impossible. It's something that just can't be done. So it became really critical early on for us to do everything we could do to fortify that workforce as best we could. I mean, we're a small business, and so you've got it's not like we're endless capital, but to do anything we can do to fortify that workforce, so when they is time to come back, and you do have that opportunity to bring them back, that they come back and they come back healthy and they come back eager to get back to doing what they do so well.
Awesome. Yeah, that's well said. Well, that's everything that, I wanted to chat about. Do you have any other comments or anything else you'd like to, dig into a little deeper?
No, like I said, I really appreciate all the help you guys have been along the journey. Most certainly, I'm sure we'll get some key learnings from this as well. But I just want to thank you personally for, like I said, I know that there was times when you had some challenges, but to pick up the phone whenever it was dialed is much appreciated. And
always.
And hockey's back, so we got that going too. So
that actually leads into my closing remark. Go Leafs, go!
Oh my gosh! Fire's got to buy. So what can I say?
All right, Elvin.
I wish you guys well in the playoffs, and I'm sure we'll have a little bit of banter on that as well.
Always looking forward to it.